President Kennedy said about the Soviet Union up to the Cuban Missile Crisis was pretty harsh. That's what Americans expected during the Cold War.
The world is not deceived by the communist attempt to label Berlin as a hotbed of war. There is peace in Berlin today. The source of world trouble and tension is Moscow, not Berlin. And if war begins, it will have begun in Moscow and not Berlin.
So Reagan made common cause with John F. Kennedy on the Soviet Union. Kennedy never called them an evil empire, but he came awfully close. Reagan closed the deal, and most Americans could see the comparison.
To the people of the city of Berlin, John F. Kennedy embodied the resolute determination of the United States to preserve the way of freedom.
All free men, wherever they may live, are citizens of Berlin. And therefore, as a free man, I take pride in the words, Ich bin ein Berliner.
The Berlin speeches also linked Kennedy and Reagan. President Reagan and his very media-adept staff knew that they wanted to get President Reagan into Berlin, and they did so twice. There were two well-known speeches there. The best known, of course,
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
It reminded so many people of what President Kennedy had said about the wall to begin with when it was constructed during the Kennedy administration. No Republican president since John F. Kennedy has ever cited John F. Kennedy nearly as often as Ronald Reagan did. Reagan cited and invoked the Kennedy name and record more often than most Democratic presidents. Reagan had to work with the Democratic House of Representatives. The Senate was Republican, but he needed to get his programs passed by the Democratic House. It was an example of Reagan's flexibility, his cleverness and shrewdness in politics, that he was able to make common cause with a family that one would have thought a conservative president would have nothing in common with.